Are you thinking about pitching your idea on Shark Tank? You better believe the sharks will ask you one key question. Do you own the IP? Hi, my name is Steve Aycock. I'm a patent attorney and I help inventors protect their ideas and turn them into real businesses. And today I've got 6 tips for you if you're planning on being on Shark Tank or would like to get on Shark Tank at some point in the future with your invention. My first tip is number 1 is always file at least a provisional patent application. This gets you patent pending status, and if you go on TV or otherwise pitch your idea, you're putting your idea out in public, and that may affect your ability to patent your idea later, depending on the timing. So before you go public with your idea in a setting like Shark Tank or any other public setting, you want to have a provisional patent on file at least. The provisional gives you the patent pending status and establishes a filing date for your invention. So you always want to do that first before you make your idea public. You wouldn't want your patent rights to be disappearing on you at some point just because you didn't file the provisional patent application. My second tip is don't forget about trademarks. Your brand name, logo, even taglines or slogans should be protected. And a good trademark is valuable IP that helps investors see the long-term potential in your business as a brand and not just an invention. So don't forget about the trademarks there. My third tip is know your IP types. You want to understand the difference between a utility patent and a design patent. It's a very important difference there. A lot of times people think of patenting their design. They think that is the design is their invention. But design and utility are very different types of patents in the US, and you want to know about those two types and the differences about them. I may do a video on the different types of IP, so if you want to subscribe, we'll do a video on the different types here at some point. And there's other types of IP, which would be trademark. You also have copyright. You have something called trade secret. And I always add non-disclosure agreements in there as a type of protection for your IP. They're not one of the types that the government issues, but they can be very important. So you want to keep NDAs in mind as kind of a protection for your idea. So that's my third tip there is know your IP types and know what type of IP tool to use for the job of what you want to protect. My fourth tip is, I'm working off notes here, so I don't want to miss anything. My fourth tip here is to do a patent search. Don't just assume that your idea is unique, because the sharks will ask you, have you done a patent search? And they'll ask you, are you going to infringe on anyone else? Now, these two types of searches are kind of different. So there's a patentability search where you're trying to find out, is your idea patentable? And then there's a search to find out if you would infringe anyone else, and that's called a freedom to operate search. And they're very different types of searches, so I think I'll do a video about the types of searches on this channel, so that will give you that information as well. So again, be sure to subscribe and you'll get these future ones. But you want to make sure that you've done a search, and there's ways to do them initially for free. Google Patents is one you can use. It has a copy of the US patent database and databases from other countries. So Google Patents is a good resource. The other type of search I do, and this is just kind of a quick and dirty one, but I use Google sometimes on the image search. And you can kind of describe what your product is, and in the image search, you'll see different products. So if there's something similar, it'll pop right out to you visually. And I find that's a quick way to do a search, and it's kind of a different route. You're not searching through all the documents, but people are very good at visually identifying if something's similar or not. So don't forget about doing an image search in Google as well. That's a good one. All right, going to my next tip here. Tip number 5, don't oversell weak patents. So saying we have a patent isn't enough. The sharks are going to want to know, how strong is it? How broad is the patent? Is it defensible? Is it covering your commercial aspects? So you need to be able to explain what your patent actually covers. And patents, what gets patented is the claims of a patent. So it's important to know about these claims. So you need to know what it covers and why that matters to your business. So you want to be able to connect your patent claims to your business, to your products, to the features that your customers love, to the thing that makes you unique. You want to be able to tie that all into one story. If your patent protection is too narrow, competitors can get around it. And the sharks will know that. Also, if your patent is overly broad, there can potentially be problems with that. So you want to be able to kind of address the issues, if there are any, with your patents, but mainly be able to know what is patented and why it matters. All right, and tip number 6 here is make sure you own your IP on paper. This is very important. For example, if a contractor helped you with your product, you need a signed IP assignment agreement from that contractor. They may not be an inventor or they may not be a co-inventor, but they may be. And that may not be known to you initially. Again, that will depend on the claims. And so you always want to make sure you have an assignment or an obligation to assign agreement from anybody that helps you with your invention. One way I do this is I put that in the non-disclosure agreement in the beginning. So when they sign the non-disclosure agreement, they're also signing the other stuff for your IP rights. But that's just the way I do it. Investors don't want surprises, so they want clean, clear ownership. This is something that's very important. So you want to be able to give them a very clean, short, sweet ownership story, and that is, we own everything. That's the story you want to be able to tell. And there's no potential for disagreements or disputes or lawsuits about ownership. No investors like that stuff. All right, so if you want all of these tips and more in a simple printable format, I'm going to put a link in the description for a downloadable version of this, and it'll just give you some tips so you can go through and kind of make sure you're keeping up with your patents and IP for your new idea, for your new business idea there. And hopefully this will help you protect what's important to you and your business. And then finally, before I go, I want to leave you with a few quotes from some of the sharks. I think these are pretty interesting. They have different takes on patents, so I'm going to read some of them to you. Some for, some not so much for patents, but I'll read them for you and you can kind of decide on your own. So here, the first one's from Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. If you don't own the IP, I'm not interested. Why would I invest in something that anyone else can copy tomorrow? That's a good point from Kevin there. He frequently emphasizes that owning enforceable IP is critical, especially for consumer products. So that shows you what he thinks about it. Lori has an interesting take on patents. She says a patent is great, but only if it's actually protecting something valuable. Not all patents are created equal. And this is true. It says here that Lori often looks beyond just the existence of a patent. She wants to know how defensible and broad it really is. So yeah, good points from Lori there. The next one's from Mark Cuba, and this one's a little funny. I like Mark. I like all the things he says and reading and seeing videos of him and everything, but he has a funny take on patents here. He says a patent doesn't mean you have a business. It just means you paid a lawyer. So that's kind of funny. It says he's openly skeptical of patents as a false sense of security. He looks for traction, customers, and execution over just patent filings. He has a point there. You definitely want to have traction, customers, and be executing on your business. Those are very important. The patent doesn't mean much if the business doesn't do something with it. And so he's right on that aspect. Patents as a false sense of security, I don't know about that. I would still at least have a provisional patent on file and be working towards patenting, because if it turns out that your idea is a huge success and you don't have the patent on it, you don't want to be in that scenario. Robert has an interesting take on patents here. He says it's not just about having a patent, it's about how you'll use it. Can you stop others? Can you license it? This is a good quote there from him. And he sees IP as part of a strategic business tool, not just a legal asset. And that's an important point. I've seen patents be able to do things, like I've seen scenarios where a patent infringement allegation turned into a business partnership. The companies were so close, accusing each other of infringement, but Come to find out, they had some synergy between the two of them because they were so close, and they turned out to work with each other. So you never know how that's going to go. Barbara says, I've seen a lot of people waste time and money patenting ideas that will never sell. The real test is in the market. Of course, Barbara's got a good point there. All of these sharks have a lot of wisdom from all their experience. However, I would say market validation is, of course, important. Before you do the market validation, though, go back to my tip number 1, which is at least have a provisional on file. That way, if your market validation proves out your idea that there's a market for it, you've preserved your right to get the patent. So I think there's a best of both worlds scenario there where you can protect your idea and also do market validation. But that's what Barbara thinks about them. And then finally, a quote here from Damon John. This is an interesting one. I like this one. He said, a trademark can be just as powerful as a patent. Your brand is your moat. So as a branding expert, Damon often focuses on the trademark strength and consumer loyalty over utility patents. So again, very good comment there. I wouldn't necessarily put one above the other, but if you're a consumer product, the branding can be very important. So you want to make sure that you're kind of protecting all aspects. I wouldn't necessarily put one over the other. You want to try to do all of the aspects that you can protect for your invention, for your business there, your product and your brand. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you like these tips, and I thought the quotes were kind of fun. It's always fun to see what people think about patents and things like that. All of these people have a lot of wisdom. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if you're trying to get on Shark Tank, I wish you the best of luck with that. And if you like the video, please subscribe and click like on it. And we'll get you more videos like this. I'll be doing some more of them. And if you have any questions or comments or want to see other videos, please leave me a comment for that. I'll answer it myself for you. All right, thanks a lot. Best of luck. Bye.